Hello friends. So last week in the classes we worked a little bit with the solar plexus. Not all the videos did, but in class we did, right? And that idea of about 2 inches above your navel, that gentle movement in and a little bit up. Not so I pull it so far back, I round my back behind me, right? But just enough to support it so I feel that length come into that low back where it connects into the thoracic spine, about by my kidneys. I keep that nice and long. Now we're going to try to keep that work going on, but we're going to bring it up to the next place, which would be that kind of heart center. And we're going to talk about trying to see if we can't find a little bit more of an opening. That's pretty vague, but of an opening in the upper back, right? Always, always remember that, you know, we talk so much about mobility, flexibility, strength. I like to talk about stability, right? I want that area to be stable, but to me, stable means that if I need to move it around and if it needs to be flexible and mobile, it is. And at the same time, I can stabilize that. So when I go to do other particular motions, I am stable enough, I'm strong enough right there to stabilize and to be able to hold that for the health of the spine, the back, etc. So we're going to work with that today. One blanket. I have that blanket rolled up, not too high. You'll determine that when we lay down. If it feels like it's too high, you'll take some of the roll out. If it feels like it's too low, you'll roll up more blanket. I'm going to go about midway through, right? Usually it's that roll or that fold, and I'm going to go about midway in. And that's a pretty good place for me to start, especially when I'm just starting the work of opening my upper back. My upper back can get kind of tight. And then I'm going to put either a pillow or another blanket or a block behind that for my head. I put my buttocks somewhere in front of that blanket, right? And when I roll back, ideally, I want the bottom tips of my shoulder blades, my scapula, to get caught on the upper edge of that blanket, right? So that may take a couple of times rolling in and out. You can kind of scoot around, but I find often with this stuff, it's easier to just come up, rearrange, and come back down. Otherwise, your blanket gets all funky underneath you. My arms tee out above that line. If it's better in my shoulder girdle for me to go into cactus arms, I can go into cactus arms, but for a lot of people, whoo-wee, in the front of the shoulders, and that's great. We love the front of the shoulders, but remember, the main place I want you to focus on is that kind of upper back and between the shoulder blades, the back side of the heart and lungs. The top block is going to come underneath my skull. I'm going to walk my feet out a little wider than my hips and lean my knees in. My knees do not have to touch. I just want my hips to soften. If you feel like you're in your low back, lift the hips a little bit, push into the feet to do that. Lift the hips, reach the buttocks forward, and then roll back down to gain that space. And otherwise, if it feels like it's still sensitive, that would be an indication that your blanket roll is probably a little too big. You might lower it down and even maybe use something besides a block. I can get away with a block solely because my roll is fairly plump. Close the eyes, and we're going to do our beginning awareness from here today. Pardon me. Bring your awareness into the muscles of the face, the throat, the neck, the shoulders, the arms, all the way down to the hands and the fingers, the chest and the upper back, middle rib cage, belly, low back. Checking into the hips and letting that softness continue down through the hips, upper legs, knees, lower legs, ankles, feet, and toes. And I want to stay here for a few more breaths, just mainly so that we start to relax and soften around the setup, right? The bolster setup. So just try to release and relax everything you can and see if gravity can't help you find a little bit of that upper back bend. And I don't want you to go crazy with this action. So slowly, so gently. Go ahead and think about that solar plexus, 2 inches above your navel, just really gently moving back to the spine. And if you do that, in a gentle way, please, does that then allow you to maybe release your shoulders, right? Can they soften back down around the bolster?
providing a slightly deeper experience in the upper back. Hopefully that makes sense the way I said that. So if I gently move my solar plexus down to my spine and I keep that area long on the back side of the spinal column, can I then let my shoulders, my upper shoulders, soften down around the blanket towards the floor, and does that provide a bigger opening in my upper back? All of those motions were so soft and so gentle. You probably barely saw me move if you were looking at me. About 3 more breaths here, friends. Now, to come out of this, we're just going to roll to the fetal position. So bring your feet together first. Roll over, and hopefully you're provided with like a little hole for that shoulder. I actually love coming into the fetal position, and I do a restorative pose in something similar to this, where I just have that shoulder all cushioned. And then push the floor away. Come on up. I want you to move those props off to the side, and then come back down onto your back. And just take a moment and just notice the back body against the floor, right? Hopefully you still have an impression of where we just were, and you feel that opening in the upper back. So continuing to feel that, or imagine that that upper back is in just a little baby upper back bend, right? Keep that solar plexus gently toned down so that the lower ribs on the back body soften down towards the earth. Bring your arms in by your side, and then go ahead and reach that right arm up and let your head rock to the left. And bring that back down. We're going to move nice and slow and soft for this sequence. Again, we're just in that time where turning the head to the right, reaching the left arm overhead. We might be a little overscheduled and coming back through center. So we've been just working on really taking time. Right arm over and left head, just your left head, your head to the left. And bring that back to center. I've heard of two-faced, but two-headed, what? Left arm reaches overhead, head gently rocks to the right. And come on back to center. Now we're going to move up to a bridge. We're going to roll 3 times, both arms overhead, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll move into a working bridge. So have your props cleared from around you pretty good. We're going to come through a snow angel. As you push into the feet, roll up, maybe reaching the arms overhead. Exhaling, coming back down. Arms come back down by the side. We got 2 more of those. Inhale, reaching those arms up overhead, lifting those hips. And exhale, keep those upper traps nice and soft, even as we start to get a little bigger with our movements, yeah? Rolling up, reaching those arms overhead any amount. Keep your hips up, turn your palms up to the sky. Like you're making a big snow angel. You're gonna sweep your arms around until they end up back down by your side body. Rock to the right and tuck your left shoulder underneath you. Rock to the left and tuck your right shoulder underneath you. Right? Now right here, a couple of things. Push more to the inner edge of your feet so your inner groin roll down. That's going to keep your low back nice and spacious, right? In your hips. Now, can you think of, even though I'm lifted, gently pulling the solar plexus towards the spine a little bit, gentle, 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 right? And then keeping that gently moving towards the kidneys, can you open the upper back even a little more? Reach your fingertips towards your heels, roll onto the tippity top of your shoulders. Take 1 more inhale there, and then rock those shoulders out a little bit, roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. Pause and notice what you notice. So you can let the arms come out to the 45 and breathe. What I'm noticing in my body, and what tends to be my pattern, is when I come down from bridges, my low ribs are coming up off of the floor. So I'm kind of exploiting that solar plexus area, right? So I let my shoulder blades come out a little bit. I soften my ribs back down. And then I try to re-soften my shoulders back down with it coming more into my upper back than the solar plexus. Again, this is not every body type, but this is many of the bodies I work with. We have one more bridge to do. You can take your arm variation if you want to this time. So push into the feet. I'm so nice. Go ahead and roll up one vertebrae at a time. You can either just do what we just did with the palms facing up. You can interlace or grab edges of the mat. I'm going to go for the mat grab today. Go ahead and rock from side to side, tucking your shoulders underneath you. Push into the inner edge of the feet, right? Inner groin rolling down. Release the inner bum. Tone the solar plexus in just a little bit, and then push your mat or your knuckles forward so that as you do that, it's like you roll onto the tops of your shoulders a little more, and you might bring that a little more into your upper back as opposed to the solar plexus area. Take one more breath. Maybe not, maybe not. And exhale, you can let those shoulders release out and roll back down. And again, when you roll down, please ensure that your low ribs on the back side of the body, right, are resting on the earth as well. So for some of us, that might mean we need to bring our shoulder blades out a little bit, right, and come out of a little bit of that back bend we had going on. I mean, ultimately, we don't want to stay in the back bend when we're not in bridge. Now, notice the position of the spine and the hips. Try not to change that at all. Bring the right knee in and interlace behind the right thigh, or use a strap today if you need to not lift your shoulders up, right? And to not lift the low floating ribs up, and to not push the low back down. These are some of the things that happen potentially in bodies, right? So I'm just gently holding that right leg. I'm not really even hugging it in right now. Shoulders, neck, and jaw, stay out of it. Just that. Can you do just that? Or are you feeling like you need to do 20 more things and you're flexing your foot and you're stretching the thing? Because what good does this little pose do, right? Put that right foot down on the ground. You got things you got to do. You got a certain amount you got to, right? Those kinds of things. So let go of the overachieving. Keep soft, right? Try not to change the position of the spine and the hips as you bring the left knee in, interlace, or just grab the material on your thigh or grab a strap. Right, I'm showing the material grabbing. I'm not really hugging the knee in, because if I did, I would round my low back, right? So I'm letting my spine be in its neutral position. I'm letting my shoulders stay out of it and simply bringing the left knee towards the chest and just staying there. Nothing to accomplish other than that. Bring that left foot back down to the ground. Now from there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to come on up. You can roll through the fetal position. Hands and knees, we won't be there for too long, but I want to be there for just a little bit. We're going to work the other way, I'll say it. I'll describe that deeper when we get into it here. But first, let's just do a couple of cat-cows, right? With that same information, when I move into my cow, I'm going to keep my solar plexus gently toned up, and I'm going to see if I can't move my shoulder blades a little together and down, as if that blanket was still helping me open, right? And then exhale, pull the belly up and round the spine up to the sky. And one more time, inhale, shoulder blades down the back. Again, keep that solar plexus gently toned in. Try to isolate in the upper back a little more, and then exhale, go ahead and round your back. And come on back to neutral. Now, if you need another pad under your knees, get 2 blankets, but otherwise that blanket that you had, actually I think I'm going to turn this way. I think this will be a better view for you. So we're going to move. And we're going to try to use this as a strengthening tool. So I'm going to have that what's it called, blanket come out to my left side, right? I still have my left hand down on the ground, so I'm going to put that in a place where I can make that happen, or I could fold this over one more time, especially if I know I'm kind of tight. That might be a useful tool. And we know this twist. We've done this twist, right? So it's on the breath. So I'm going to slide my right hand over, bending my left elbow. I'm going to try to tap my shoulder down, and I can move the blanket. This is kind of where you know where you need the blanket once you get down here. And then I'm going to push into my left hand, and I'm going to pull that hand back and bring my chest to neutral. So get yourself set up, and then we'll go into the pattern, right? So again, I'm going to slide my right hand. My palm is turning up towards the ceiling. I tap my right shoulder down if it's available. And then I push into my left hand, and I drag that arm all the way back. Yeah? We got 2 more of those. Slide that right hand out. So use a little solar plexus action here too, right? As I push into my left hand, I'm going to gently pull my solar plexus up. I'm going to recruit some of my abdominals so it's not just my darn left shoulder. One more time, I'm going to slide out. This time stay out, set down if it's available. You can bring that left head down. It's the right side of the head. It's not even the left head. I don't even know what I'm talking about. And take another breath from there. Soften around the right shoulder blade. And then go ahead and come on up. So now that you've seen the setup, rather than me turning, I think now I'll show you the back side of my body in case that's informative. So I'm going to bring that blanket over towards the right side of my mat. I'm still in tabletop, and the blanket's just kind of right underneath, right behind the right wrist. I turn my left palm up. We got 4 of these. So once you're set up, you're going to slide that left hand out, bending the right elbow, sliding in, and then I push my right hand down, and I slide the left hand back. Yeah? So now, when you do that, push the shins down, and when you go to push up, push the shins down and pull the solar plexus up. Recruit a few more muscles so that not so much of this, so that the right shoulder doesn't bear the brunt of this. Let me say it that way. Right? And coming back up, and then you're gonna pause this time. So you can adjust that blanket so when you come down, that left shoulder is tapping down on the blanket, right? Hopefully you can still hear me. My voice is turned away from camera. And everything wants to sway to the right for me. So I'm going to push my left shin down. I'm going to get those hips to neutral-ish, right? I'm going to try to soften what I can here. And then I'm going to tone in my abdomen, and I'm going to push into my right hand and slide back to a neutral place. If you want a cat-cow here, take a cat-cow or 2. And if you want a child's pose, go ahead and take your child's pose. I'm going to suggest that you bring your arms back, palms up, forehead down, if that is okay with your neck and the upper back, the rest of the body. It's just going to round us a little bit more. Now, some of my friends, you might have neck issues or something going on, so you might not add this next piece. But if you're feeling pretty healthy in your upper back and your neck, right, and be honest with that, don't overachieve. You might push down into, let's put our hands on the backs, on our sacrum. I'm just stacking my hands. My bottom hand is holding my top hand. My palms are facing the ceiling. And then from there, I'm going to really gently push into my shins, and I'm going to lift my buttocks up, but I keep my head down and I roll towards the crown of my head. And then I'm going to come back down. Again, if this is not right for your neck, don't do it, right? I'm putting most of the weight in my shins. I'm simply rolling on the head. So don't put a lot of the weight in the head. And if you can't do that, or you don't know what I'm talking about, don't do this exercise, please, right? One more time. I'm going to push into my shins, and I'm going to take most of the weight in my legs. I just roll towards the crown of my head. And then I'm going to roll back down. Bring the hands back down. Slide your arms forward, plant your palms down, shoulder distance or the width of the mat, whatever feels best. And then inhale, come on up to hands and knees. Now, shoulder blades down the back, reach the chest forward. Move like you're moving into cow, but tone your solar plexus up, but you're going to keep that upper back opening we've been working on. Curl your toes under, push yourself back in a downward dog. Keep the knees bent for now, yeah? So many people think downward dog is about straight legs. I personally think downward dog is about lengthening your spine, strengthening the shoulders, right? Learning to soften your upper traps. So can you find that here? Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring those knees down. You're going to come into a seated position. Believe it or not, that's going to be the end of the practice. So as you find yourself in that upright posture, you're just pausing there. And just notice the upper back, right? So first notice if your solar plexus is tending to move forward. And gently find that positioning. And you know, I talked a lot, especially on Saturday, about your buttocks bones reaching down, a neutral pelvis. It's really hard to find anything above in the spine if the pelvis isn't in a neutral position. But then once you find that solar plexus is nice and supported, right, the length is in the back side of the kidney band area, that part of the spine. Without shoving your shoulders back, there's nothing balanced about going completely extreme the opposite direction. Can you gently roll your shoulders a little up, gently slide them back a little bit,
And then slide your shoulder blades down, right? Lengthen the crown of the head up. Bring your palms together in front of your chest. Inhale. And exhale, bow that head in, taking a moment of gratitude. And especially that you gave yourself the space and the time. Namaste, friends. And just 3 reminders. One, if you like the videos, if you like what I do have a patreon.com page at CJoy Yoga, and you can support at any level. There are different tiers, but you can put in that you want to support, $5, $20, $25. Please feel free to support so that I can keep making this free to the public. And also, as a Patreon subscriber, if you subscribe at the $15 level, you get access to all the videos, including the classes and the things that I do. I'm almost nearing 400 videos at this point in time, which is pretty exciting. And then thirdly, I know I've been saying it, but I've been working with it in myself, and I've been seeing so many people as overachievers, right? And it's a busy time, and it's the holidays, and yada, yada, yada. So just a remembrance to give yourself the permission to take a little bit of downtime in the middle of all of that and take care of yourself. Love you.